Good morning and welcome to the DC Department of Housing and Community Development. My name is Drew Hubbard. I am the interim director of the department, and we're so glad to have you here today. I have the pleasure of previewing this exciting announcement of a couple of things we're doing today. And it's no accident that we're here in our Housing Resource Center, because this is where a lot of the journey starts for folks, especially looking for assistance, but also looking to get on the homeownership journey. It's also fitting that we are co-located here with one of our community-based organizations, University Legal Services. And that's really where, especially for HPAP, a lot of the journey starts for folks seeking homeownership and assistance through our HPAP program. And just so that with all the interest from the announcement today, I want to make sure folks know to go to Mayor.dc.gov to really start this process. And you can also look at dhc.dc.gov/HPAP. Really to get linked up to one of our many CBOs that helps folks start this process. And it starts simply with going to a CBO, going through a quick training program about HPAP, and getting on that path of homeownership to really accessing the down payment and closing cost assistance that we have for district residents to take advantage of. And as I said, you know, you were going to hear from some great residents who have taken advantage of this program, as well as the mayor and Councilmember Bonds and Deputy Mayor Falchicchio, just to talk about some exciting new facets of the program that are coming. But before we get to the speakers, I just would like to thank the folks here at DHCD who really make this happen. Richard Livingston, who helped put together today's event, Gentry Alexander and his team at HPAP who run the program, and Jeannie Hayes and the Homeowner Assistance Fund team, who have another exciting resource for homeowners who are seeking to get foreclosure prevention. So I want to get this right, and I told Mr. Branch I was going to give him his due. So I'm going to first introduce Marcus Branch. Marcus is a native Washingtonian and purchased his first home in the district with the help of HPAP back in April of 2021. As a DC firefighter and former teacher, he also took advantage of HPAP's sister program, the EHAP program for government employees, which is a matching, also a matching grant for first responders. And as I mentioned before, he used one of our great CBOs, University Legal Services, to start his process. So please help me in joining to welcome Mr. Branch to the podium for brief remarks about his process going through HPAP.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, again, my name is Marcus Branch, longtime DC resident and grew up in DC my entire life. I've been honored to serve my community in many fashions. Like you said, I'm a firefighter at DC, at the DC Fire Department and the EMS services at Engine 24 in the Petworth community, where I also coach. I'm a football coach at Coolidge High School, and we have a youth program, Warfare Warriors, which we do operate out of that community also. But I've been able to take advantage of the EHAP and the HPAP program with the help of my realtor, Miss Melanie Davis. When COVID hit, I was at a standstill and, you know, spending most of my time just working and, you know, been trying to get a house for years, and it's been a struggle for me. But with that program, it made my long-time dream, you know, be able to come a reality. And I just want to thank Mr. Gentry and everybody with the program because it was very helpful for me. So without further ado, I appreciate you all listening to my story and sharing my time. And I would like to introduce Miss Muriel Bowser. All right. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you for that introduction, and it is fantastic to be here in Ward 8 and to be here at DHCD. I want to thank you, Drew, for your leadership of DHCD, and I, too, want to acknowledge the entire DHCD team. So let's give them a big round of applause. over the last 8 years, I have asked DHCD to do incredible work. I started my tenure as mayor saying that we would do more for affordable housing in the District of Columbia than had ever been done. I made a pledge that we would spend $100 million in just in our affordable housing program, just in making sure that we, in the Housing Production Trust Fund, that we were putting $100 million every year. When I became mayor, we were doing about $50 million. And last year, we were able to, thanks to our partner on the council, Anita Bonds, and the members of the Council of the District of Columbia, we did $453 million in a single year in HPTF. So fast forward almost 8 years, we've invested $1.2 billion in affordable housing. We know in cities like ours that are beautiful, that have talented people, that have great neighborhoods, that have fast improving schools, is a great place to start a business and grow a business and to get a good paying job. There's a lot of pressure on housing cost. And so that's why we always have to be creative about the tools that we create. So DC residents say, hey, I can buy a house. Hey, I can call DHCD. I can go to the University Legal Services, or I can go to the Urban League, and they have programs set up just for me. You heard Drew talk about how we are always focused also on making sure DC government employees know about our programs. I said a long time ago that if we want to grow our middle class, we want to create more black homeowners in DC, one of the best places to start is DC government, because I know we're a good employer. I know we are. We provide great wages, good benefits. People come to work for us because that they know that their talents and their hard work is how they'll move ahead. And so, we're hiring. If you're interested in working for a great place and living close to where you work, please go to dchr.dc.gov because we are hiring. Additionally, another very important thing that you'll hear me talk about is how home ownership is the way that we will close racial wealth gaps in our city. We know that most people, especially most Washingtonians, is that the way they build generational wealth is through buying a home and passing that home on from generation to generation. We know that people do the math, like we heard, on what they need for a down payment, and then they start to think about what's possible. Sometimes people don't get to step one into thinking what's possible because they're so daunted by the process. That's why we want you to listen to what we have to offer, to think about the programs and services and the professionals that are out there to help you think through the process. Don't get stuck at step zero, because you may already be qualified. So let's just think about it. But we want residents to know that we have programs that will help you make it possible. We also know this, and I hear this statement all over the place, that it's too expensive. We know that DC has gotten more expensive. You heard me give you some of the reasons why. A lot of people want to live here, start their businesses here, and work here. More people trying to buy more things or fewer things makes things more expensive. And that's why in 2016, with Councilmember Bonds, we increased the maximum assistance through our HPAP program that you heard Drew describe from $50,000 per home purchase to $80,000 per home purchase, and increased our budget for the program by 50%. So this program, it helps first-time home buyers cover their down payment and closing costs. And in 2016, we expanded that to DC government employees. Now we're increasing HPAC beginning October the 1st to give you more buying power. So the maximum assistance, which has been since 2016, which we increased then, of $80,000 will now be $202,000. So if you are a family that's making below 50% of the median family income, which for us is $71,000 for a family of four. Okay, so if you're a family of four making less than $71,000, you could be eligible to receive the maximum HPAP allotment. And that is money that you wouldn't have to repay until you sold your home. So if you're watching and this is you or someone you know, now is the time to consider buying a home in DC. We want you to register for the HPAP program. In just a few moments, Director Hubbard will tell you exactly how. And so when I talk to residents around the city, a lot of people fall into this category. They may be recent college graduates. They could be a family in transition. They could be a new family to DC. A lot of new folks to DC look at these programs and services and take advantage of them. There could be, I hear from a lot of grandparents, parents, who want their kids and maybe even willing to help their kids get out on their own. So these are programs for all of us. I also sometimes hear from people who have been renting for decades and decades, and now they want to buy a home. So this may be a program for you too. So we also want to make, and Drew and team will continue to talk to you about this, but we have some emergency assistance funds that are available for current homeowners who may have been impacted by COVID. So if you fall into that category and you need help dealing with your current mortgage, please get in touch with our team before September 30th. So with that, I want to acknowledge a woman who has been a real partner to the work that we have been doing over the last 8 years in doing more in affordable housing than has been done in the city. She has had a daunting task of making sure that all of the council members recognize how important it is to protect affordable housing dollars. And frequently, right after schools is one of our biggest line items. Now, I've been on the council. I know what that means. When you're the council member who's in charge of one of the biggest budget items in one single bucket, everybody wants to use it for their pet project. But what Anita has been able to do is to tell the whole city, work with her colleagues to say, no, there really is no more important thing than we have to do to make sure that people can afford to live in our city. So Anita, you've had a hard job and you've done it well. And I'm proud to call you my at-large council member for housing. And you know, I'm going to look forward to you being the at-large council member for housing for a long time to come. Ladies and gentlemen, Anita Bonds.
Wow, that's a nice introduction, and one that I accept on behalf of all of the residents in this great city that are benefiting from this great city. And I think it also requires us to give the leader of our city an extraordinarily round of applause. To the mayor. And even you can clap. It's okay. It's okay. You know, the District of Columbia is doing more for housing than any other jurisdiction in the nation. That's us. We're doing this. That's what it means. And as such, we're doing a Herculean job of trying to make sure that everyone who wants to live here has that opportunity. And we've added the carrot, and that is ownership. Having an opportunity to own a part or a piece of this dirt, this important dirt. This dirt that holds the White House, this dirt is the same that holds the Capitol. As you become homeowners, you're going to have a piece of that, and that's so very, very important. When I tell people in other parts of the country what we're doing, they're absolutely amazed and blown away, really, because it is very, very difficult in today's economy, the economy of the last 5 years, to really make that work. But the mayor has found a way, and I'm excited about that, and I hope that you are too. I have a bunch of notes here, but the mayor kind of covered it all, so I don't know, but I can tell you there was a time not long ago when the black community in particular was not allowed to purchase homes. And so I'm focusing on ownership, because I want you to have that piece of dirt. Whether you're black or whatever, I want you to have a piece of that dirt. Barry, I want you to have a piece of that dirt. You had it once, and now you're renting. You got to get back to ownership, okay? I know, as I know people, Mayor, I'll call them out and say, we got to do this thing. We do have to become landowners, meaning homeowners in the District of Columbia. That is so very important. Why? Because this is our community. And as a black person who grew up in this neighborhood, not far away, down off of Benning Road, it means something to me. My dad was from the military, and we could not purchase. The landlord that we rented from said, well, we'll do rent with the option to buy. They could do that apparently in the 50s and 60s here in the District of Columbia. So he never realized that. His daughter and his sons, they've had an opportunity to realize that. And so I'm saying, when you have the opportunity, you got to seize it and take advantage of it. I don't know what other message I can deliver to you and to the community in general. We have to increase ownership. We have a number of vehicles. Of course, the HPAP, I love it. The mayor kind of overstepped me. I was the one who did the 80,000 ceiling, but I was coming back with 150. But the mayor said 202, and I'm like, you got to go with it, Anita. This makes a lot of sense. So I put a little floor, because we didn't have a floor before. So it's at 70, but it looks like it's a good thing too. So I want everyone to take advantage of it. And starting October 1, you can get $25,000 additional to make maybe a roof repair, or let's say the HVAC system isn't working the way it should. In other words, we are not only saying buy the home, we're also saying we want you to take the first steps to maintaining the home, because this is very important. And again, I can't say enough about the pleasure I have of working with Mayor Bowser. I did not know her before, although we're, same, species, woman, that kind of, did not know her. I'm from Ward 7, she's from Ward 4. Ward 5, right there on the border, it changes from time to time. Where I live in 7, it stays the same, okay? We're not near Ward 8, we're not near Ward 5. We're right in the middle of 7. And so I did not know her, and of course she wouldn't have known me. I'm a little on the, a little more mature side. But I can tell you it has been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to doing more with this administration and with the wonderful people that represent the agencies within the Housing Committee. That's a big deal. And so I just want you all to enjoy what we have before you. It's like wonderful meal that the city has laid out for us, the people of the District of Columbia. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, as the mayor said, people want to know how to access these dollars, right? So again, I'll reiterate, frontdoor.dc.gov is where you want to start this process. And it's really our look at making a one-stop for all of our homeownership resources. And it'll take you through kind of a little bit of a quiz or an interview about where you are and where you can go. But start there, and again, that'll point you to our network of CBOs who are housing counselors through which you can apply for the program. That will lead you again to an initial 2-hour informational and an intro session to the program for HPAP. And then once you're able to go through that, if you are ready to go, you will continue the process. If not, the CBOs are in place to really help you get there. So you are already at the place you need to be to make sure that if you are not ready now, they will help get you there through housing counseling, financial literacy, everything that we offer and support funding our CBOs. Once you move forward in the process, you'll get what is called a notice of eligibility. That will allow you to move forward to really looking for putting a bid and looking at securing that home. So it seems simple, but again, start at the beginning, frontdoor.dc.gov, and it'll explain the process. And please, as the mayor said, lots of folks don't know that they're ready now and eligible now. You are. Please go to frontdoor.dc.gov. I also would like to recognize the leadership of the two entities that administer HPAP for us. George Lambert of the Urban League, Greater Washington Urban League. And Christopher Donald of the DC Housing Finance Agency. So again, I'd like to next bring up another HPAP borrower, David Guerra Restrepo. David purchased his home with his wife in Ward 3 back in 2018. But that's not the only reason he's joining us today. Following his home purchase, he actually became a housing counselor with the Latino Economic Development Center and credits HPAP and the buying experience to moving towards that housing counseling as a career. So please welcome David.
Good morning, Mayor Bowser, council members, guests, friends. First of all, I would like to share with all of you that it is a great honor for me to be here sharing this historic moment with all of you about HPAP. I would like to share some consideration related to my experience as a home buyer and as a housing counselor. When I arrived to Washington, D.C. 5 years ago, I wanted to get to know my new city and its governance structure. One of my priorities was to learn about the DC public administration, and during my research, I found the HPAP program. I read the program requirements and encouraged to my wife to apply, who is here with me today. We attended the first-time homebuyer session. We met with housing counselor and submitted an application. As a part of the process, we interviewed banks to find competitive mortgage rates, gathered lots of documents, and even took a trip to the IRS office for tax information. It wasn't easy, but it was important to make sure we understood the home buying process in depth. Eventually, we received our notification of eligibility and began our home research. Thanks to the support from HPAP program, a few months later, we were able to buy our first home, our condo in Ward 3. My wife and I love our neighborhood and the community. We are thankful, not just for us, but for all DC residents that HPAP exists to support first-time homebuyers to achieve their goal of being homeowners. In my own experience with HPAP has been helpful in my role as a bilingual housing counselor at Latino Economic Development Center, LEDC. In this position, I've learned that it takes behind the scenes to make it possible for the first-time homebuyers to become homeowners in Washington, D.C. As a part of my role, I review documents, conduct housing counseling sessions, and speak in the first-time homebuyer workshops. I feel proud to have the opportunity to help others in the same way in which I was helped as well. I feel proud to have this opportunity. It's very satisfactory to support others to achieve that goal that you had once had. Therefore, I feel thankful to be a member of the housing team of the Latino Economic Development Center. It's one of the community-based organizations that carries out fantastic work for future homebuyers. As a DC resident and housing counselor, I believe this new HPAT update will expand eligibility and bring more benefits to residents and applicants. I feel very proud that we at LEDC will be an important bridge between the program and the applicants to make the dream of home ownership come true. I also believe that the Homeowner Assistance Fund HAF is a fantastic resource for all those homeowners after buying their house. Why? As any home buyer knows, the story doesn't end after buying a home. And in paying the mortgage and maintaining property can be a challenge in difficult circumstances. That is why this program has brought financial relief for all those who need some additional support with financial stability. Being a housing counselor has been a fantastic opportunity to help DC residents achieve their dreams of becoming a homeowner and staying a homeowner. I'm happy to be part of the story of HPAT and a member of the LEDC family. Thank you so much. Now, thanks. I would like to introduce our Deputy Mayor.
Let's give it up for David, his wife, and Marcus one more time. Thank you all for sharing your stories. So I promise I'm the final speaker. And I just wanted to, one, say thank you. Thank you to the team at DHCD. A lot of them are here with us in the room. Let's give them a round of applause for their work on not just this homeownership program, but also homeowner assistance. So Mayor Bowser, I know that we've talked a lot about the HPAP program. We didn't talk as much about the Homeowners Assistance Fund, right? Homeowners Assistance Fund. So how many folks in here own a home? Raise your hand if you own a home. Okay. Now, we know that the pandemic has been a tough time. So if you've had trouble with your mortgage payment, if you've had trouble with your HOA fees, your utilities, there's a lot of eligible ways that we can help you if you've fallen behind. So check out frontdoor.dc.gov and look for the Homeowners Assistance Fund, right? So there's something for everyone. Now with HPAP, one thing we wanted to highlight was just how simple this makes it for prospective home buyers. So how many folks in here are interested in buying their first home? All right, there's a couple of realtors here, so they're looking around, scanning the room as well. So for those first-time home buyers, Mayor Bowser, we were gathered during the budget deliberation, and we talked about what do we do with HPAP. And to Councilmember Bonds' point, she said, double it, go to 150,000. And we went even higher. And the reason why we did that was, one, because we know that a lot of people want to live in D.C., and so housing costs were going up. But also now we actually have another complication, which are interest rates on the rise. So what does this mean for prospective home buyers? So there's a chart here, and I know it's really fine print, and it's hard to see it if you're sitting in the room, but we're going to put it up on social media. It's part of our press release. For those who are of the right income level at 50% medium family income, which for a single person is $49,800, then you can get that maximum $202,000, and it goes across to the income starts to go up a bit with the household size as well. But what that means for the first-time home buyer, and this is important to think about, not just how do you come up with the down payment, and now when you go to the bank, you could say that my down payment is coming through Mayor Bowser and Councilmember Bonds. You can go and say, you could figure out what your mortgage payment's going to be. And that's really important too. So we did a little bit of math. And about 400 people used the program in 2021. The average home that they bought was about $350,000. So if they were able to get the $202,000 maximum assistance, what would their mortgage payment be? I'm looking to the realtors. I heard somebody say it. Somewhere between $600 to $800. So if you're a prospective home buyer, think about how much you're paying in rent. Think about utilizing this program, and think about how you can start to really live the American dream, owning your own home, building equity in that home, and now this program will help you do that. So the website again is frontdoor.dc.gov. So we need everybody to go there. It's really easy. I know Marcus and David can tell you all the different steps it takes to get there, but at least you know this resource is there. And when you do, you know that your rent, what you're paying in rent, is probably more than what I just mentioned. So why not take the time to do this, build the equity, and really realize that dream of home ownership and what we like to say the American dream. So more to come on that. We also have the Black Home Ownership Strike Force, which is convening. Pay attention to the work that they're doing. Anita Cozart is leading that up for Mayor Bowser. They're going to give a report to the mayor by the end of September. But right now, don't wait. Go to frontdoor.dc.gov. So with that, I'll ask Mayor Bowser to come back up and lead us through any questions, first from the media and then from community.
Well, John, that was some quick, I like that math. Like that math, right? So if you, just take off $200,000, that's a lot of money to take off. And to have the remaining, you get a mortgage, you make a payment, take off $200. Where can you take off $202,000? Nowhere. Only in the best city in the world. Only. So, and don't sit me next to Anita again, because we just came up with something else. We did. We just came up with something else, and I like it. Okay. Any press questions?
Mayor, Ben Dennis from DC News Now. First off, what was that initial idea that you were talking about right there?
We're cooking on it. It's still cooking. It's not ready yet.
So it's in the preheat mode. First question, if you can explain, how is the city able to provide this increased assistance? And is there a cap on the amount of loan benefits the city is able to offer? Or is it essentially an open door for as many people as possible?
Sure. Let me have Drew come up and talk about the budget parameters.
So it's a mix of our federal funding as well as local, and it's as many people as we can get through this process with the funds that we have in the budget, and I may beg for more if we have more demand. So we've never turned anyone away, and as we've needed to adjust the budget in fiscal year, the mayor's been able to do that for us.
Just as a follow-up, how much money is available in the budget for this program?
Right now, it's 26, I believe, is in the initial budget for this year, 26 million.
Press questions?
I have questions off topic.
Okay.
As you know, the
If
mayor.
you could just introduce
Oh,
yourself.
yeah, Leonard Fleming, DC News Now. As you know, this DC task force will soon start cracking down on these marijuana gifting shops on the 1st, I believe, of September. And there's fear among the shop owners that they could be targeted even if they're following all the rules, particularly owners of color. Just your thoughts on this, Mayor, and why is this needed?
Well, first and foremost, we want to promote public safety in the city, and that is how we approach all of our business owners with that in mind.
And second question, with the influx of migrants, I think there are estimates of 600 or so in D.C. Most of them, as you know, go on to other places. there's concern about, in New York, for example, about the children, school-age children that are coming through. What are your plans for the district if this number continues to swell?
We continue to work on policies. We struggle with a broken immigration system in our country, and we know if I could wave a wand, I have some ideas that would help fix that, so that people who are in our city, who are working hard already, who are DC residents, who maybe have TPS protection, for example, or maybe dreamers, we need a path to citizenship in our country. We need people who want to come here and work hard to be able to do that. That's a different question, however. Right now, we're dealing with a politically motivated policy emergency, and we think it can be a crisis in our city. That's why we've asked for federal support, and we will continue to do that. We think that cities alone can't solve a broken immigration system. But having said that, we are going to do everything that we can to have a humane setting for people who are coming through our city to their final destinations, and we're going to work hard to do that.
But is there a plan to deal with the school-age children? Is there something that
School-age children will go to school. That's the plan.
And third question, the follow-up to the letter that you sent to the Defense Department, have you heard anything from
We haven't, and when we do, we don't have to you don't have to ask me about it every day. I promise to tell you. We're going to continue to work with the Defense Department as every DC mayor has done, and I will do. So that we are always partners with our DC National Guard, and we are working very hard to make sure people are treated humanely, and that our systems, all of our systems, continue to work as they should. Any other questions from the press? Okay. Any community questions? Yes. Good afternoon. Okay, we will actually promote the chart, and before you leave, you can snap a picture of it. All right, and then, but we want everybody to see it, so we're going to put it out on our social media and put it front and center on the website, on the webpage.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, everybody. Let's go buy a house. Oh, we have one more? Okay.
Can you come here, please? Thank you. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, hello. My name is Deja Dyson. I'm currently a Ward 7 resident, and I'm not looking to buy my first home right now because I'm still pretty young, but I definitely want to get one, and I want to be a part of this program. So do you think I can sign up for it now, and they would have me there? I came in late, so I didn't get any.
Well, let me make sure I connect you with one of our housing counselors so you know all the resources available.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.